Hi, Mr. Waltman, back for part three of the Senior Project Manual videos, and I'm going to cover Task 2, the product, with this video. So if you turn your manuals to page 12, you'll see a graphic organizer that describes the product. So we're looking at three types of products that you can choose from, three categories. Sometimes products overlap, but the first one is passion. Passion is an exploration of a personal interest that you might have. It could be an extension of certain skills that you already possess. And some things in this category are building something tangible. So we have had people build Adirondack chairs. We've had people build canoes and kayaks. We've had people build all sorts of furniture. Um, so there's lots of opportunities here in terms of building something tangible. Uh, the important thing here is to demonstrate growth. So you could be the best at what you do in the school, or it could be just an area of interest that you're just starting to learn the skills related to that passion. Whatever it is, what we're concerned about is growth. So uh, even things that you're really already good at, there's always room for improvement and going to a different level or doing something from a different angle or perspective. A lot of artwork created here. Okay, so a lot of passions around art and music and writing. People have written short stories. People have created, have had done art shows. People have created sculptures. So lots of things there. Musical compositions. Uh, Lots of different products that have followed individual students' passions. The next category is service projects. And service projects vary from doing, volunteering at a nonprofit, a community organization, giving up your time for someone else, to the more kind of active, grassroots, activism kinds of things. The keys here is providing community service work. Some people like to raise awareness around an issue. We've had projects about uh, clean water in certain parts of the world, poverty, homelessness, and some people have gone so far as to try to get things changed by working to change legislation or problem solving with governmental agencies, and lots of interesting service projects have been done over the years as well. And then finally, the last category is career. Uh, some students like to choose the career product as a way to explore potential career paths. And we've had students who have worked in all sorts of situations, in many healthcare settings, in educational settings, engineering, athletics, sports management, those kinds of things. Lots of different careers have been explored. Sometimes students come back and say, you know what, it's not what I thought it was. I might major in something else, or I'd rather keep that as a hobby and not a career. Um, but other students have, really fallen in love with the career that they've explored in their senior project. So one thing I want to point out here is that the career options need to go beyond just shadowing and observing. And by that I mean there has to be some specific goals about what you want to learn and take away from the process. And that can be worked out with the mentor. They probably know better than anybody what is possible for you to learn through this career kind of project. So we've had people who've done internships, learned specific trades, um, especially in the kind of construction or plumbing and those kinds of things, or enter a specific training program. We've had people who have entered programs for their senior project that have received certification for their skills in certain areas. I also want to point out that Mrs. Gannay at Schrader and Mr. Duschel at Thomas have helped people connect people with possible mentors for career kinds of internships and career senior projects. As I mentioned before, some product ideas cover all three of these, or two of them. All of them require the following. Before you start anything, please make sure your proposal is approved. Right? That'll avoid any problems down the road. 15-hour commitment. Mentor meetings 5 times. The time spent with a mentor is separate from the 15 hours on the product. The 15 hours on the product is time that you are spending completing that plan of action and in an effort to achieve the goals you set out to achieve. The mentor meetings are separate, but you should meet 5 times. You will complete an e-portfolio that documents your project, not only kind of the time and tasks, but whatever is in your proposal about how you're going to document your learning needs to be in there as well. And detailed logs, mentor meeting dates, and time you spent on the project, and what you did on those specific dates, what you and your mentor talked about. All those kinds of things need to be documented. All right, so if you're doing anything with senior project, keep track of it on the computer. Have a journal with you. Write it down. Make sure that you're documenting all that stuff. It'll make your life easier down the road. On the next page is student mentor responsibility. Sometimes finding mentors is one of the difficult steps that students find in this whole senior project process. So I'll talk about this page a little bit, then I'll talk about finding a mentor. So the student is responsible for finding a mentor, being punctual for all meetings, setting up 5 meetings, and then submitting the mentor. The mentor is going to evaluate your product at the end. So the student is responsible for getting that done, or delivering the paperwork. The mentor, of course, is doing the actual evaluation. Mentor cannot be in your family. They have to be at least 25, and their expertise has to connect to the goals of your project. The mentor is responsible for advising and assisting, and I said one of the first things that a mentor should do is help you write your plan of action and your proposal. They're responsible to meet with you 5 times and evaluating your product and completing the evaluation form on time. There's lots of places to find mentors. Here's a list here. I'm not going to read through them. And then there's a lot of ways to make the initial contact. A mutual friend introduces you, telephone, letter, email. All these ways can be used. So it's important to network. And it's also important to be persistent and determined and follow up. And I also want to encourage you to identify and go after the best possible mentors to achieve your goals. A lot of you will be tempted to take kind of the easy connection, a friend of a friend, or your uncle's, nephew's, brother's, wife's, husband, whatever it might be, because a connection's already established. And I'm not discouraging you from using those connections, but if it leads to a highly evaluated mentor, or a mentor that has a lot of expertise in your area. So I'll give you an example. Last year, a student that I know kind of gave up on a mentor. Well, he asked one person, all right, and then they gave up. And I wouldn't let him give up. I said, let's look online. I'm going to show you some resources. We made a phone call. We left a message. We followed up with an email, and lo and behold, it turned out to be a great experience for the student. Okay, so it's important to be persistent. Okay, sometimes people are very busy. You might have to call back 2 or 3 times. So set your goals high. You know, it gives you an excuse to approach somebody and say, I got to do this project. And you know, compliment them. People like to know how highly you think of them, and say, you know, I know you're great at what you do, and I like to learn from you. Adults will eat that up, and many times will help you. Sometimes they don't. And I also always say this to students: when a person says no, you want to get a few more names from that person. Okay, thanks for considering. You know, can you give me a few more people to contact and keep that chain going? All right, so those are the things I say on about finding a mentor. All right, here's some recommendations for mentor meetings. Meeting 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So again, I'm not going to read down through this, but they give you and your mentor some guidelines about what should be happening at each meeting. This is just a screenshot of the front of the mentor evaluation form, so you both kind of know what criteria you're going to be evaluated on. There is a back to this that is where the mentor has a chance to write written recommendations as well. Okay, and that is the end of part 3, covering task 2, the product. So the next video will cover the electronic portfolio.